Hi students, I will be teaching you Geotechnical Engineering during this 5th semester. For further details of this course, Geotechnical Engineering, is displayed in the next slide. The course code is 5013. This course offers 2 credits for your session. Also, as usual, this course has 4 modules. The main topic of each module is displayed in the table. And also, I plan to complete the entire course within 39 lecture hours. Without delay, I am directly going to the first module of this course. The first topic, as usual, is about what is soil. One must begin this course, Geotechnical Engineering, by understanding the material soil. So, what is soil and where does it comes from that? Although it is a very familiar term, the soil has various meanings depending upon the field in which it is used. For example, in the field of agriculture, that is, an agriculturist called soil as a substance which supports plant life, that is the loose surface material of the earth in which plants grow. But for a geologist, also for the geologist, the soil is upper layer of mantle which can support plants. As you can see in the next slide, is nomenclature in geology. That is the mantle, the top portion of the mantle which can support plant life is called soil. So also you can see the nomenclature in soil engineering. Here soil called this much portion, that is the top portion of the also called top portion of the mantle is soil in geology. In the case of as per the nomenclature in geology, soil is the unaggregated or uncemented deposits of organic particles covering the large portion of the earth crust. And this includes different materials like boulders, sand, gravels, clay, silt, etc. The material which is called soil by this geologist is actually the top soil in geotechnical engineering. That is the basic difference. Also note that this top soil is usually removed from the earth surface before the construction of structures. Why? This topsoil contains large quantity of organic matter and it is not suitable as a construction material or as a foundation for structure. You understand the meaning of soil in soil engineering. Now let us see the meaning of different terms: soil mechanics, soil engineering and geotechnical engineering. What is the difference between these three terms that is frequently used in this course? First, let us see what is soil mechanics. Soil mechanics, you might have studied solid mechanics, that are theory of structures that deals with the solid. Also, you know about fluid mechanics or hydraulics, which deals with forces acting on fluid at rest or in motion. Now, let us see what is soil mechanics. A branch of mechanics is actually a branch of mechanics which deals with action of forces on soil and with the flow of water in soil. Actually, soil mechanics is deals with the consequently the behavior of soil is somewhat intermediate between that of a solid and a fluid, not exactly same as that of solid or fluid, but exactly in between. The behavior is in between that of a solid and a fluid. So, the soil consists of some discrete solid particles which are neither strongly bonded as in solids nor they are free as fluids. So, the branch soil mechanics is therefore the branch of mechanics which deals with action of forces on soil and also the flow of water in soil. Now, what is soil engineering? Soil engineering actually is the application of soil mechanics for various engineering problems that deals with all engineering problems related with soils. it includes design and construction of foundations, retaining structures, etc. That is, from this point onwards, are familiar with the term soil engineering. Whereas geotechnical engineering actually a broader term which includes soil engineering, discussed the previous session, rock mechanics, and also geology. That is a broader term than soil engineering. But these two terms, soil engineering and geotechnical engineering, is used synonymously. So from this point onwards, both the terms are used synonymously, although they have slight difference in meaning. Soil engineering has vast application in the construction of various civil engineering works. Some of the important applications are going to list in the upcoming slides. So the first application that you can see in this slide, that is in the foundation. Foundations are constructed for all civil engineering structures to transmit the load of the structure to the soil. So you are familiar with the foundations. Next, next application or scope of soil engineering is in the case of retaining structures. In the figure, the soil is represented in the dark shade. See soil on both sides of this retaining structures, that is in the shape of an inverted T. This retaining structure in the inverted T shape may have soil at different level on both sides. So as to retain the soil mass at this different level, we construct this retaining structure. So when sufficient space is not available for a mass of soil to spread and form a safe slope. Here it is not possible to provide a safe slope using sufficient space. Then we construct retaining wall. An earth retaining structure is also required to keep the soil at different level on its either side. The next scope is in the stability, to determine the stability of slope. In the figure, you can see the first figure shown as A. You can see a construction highway over an earth filling. You can also see the embankment slope. In this second figure, you can see a construction by earth cutting. In both cases, by the help of soil engineering, you can check the stability of this embankment slope or excavation slope. To check the stability of this excavation slope or embankment slope, you need the basics of soil engineering. That is the third scope of soil engineering. The next application is in the field of construction of various underground structures. Most familiar underground structure is a tunnel. And for the construction of such underground structures to be feasible, we have to use soil engineering, the principles of soil engineering, mainly to evaluate the forces exerted by the soil on these structures. The forces, the design and construction of underground structures such as tunnels, shaft, conduits require evaluation of forces exerted by the soil on the structures. And these forces are easily calculated using the various principles of soil engineering. So next, let us see the fifth scope or application of soil engineering is in the pavement design or in roads. We use road or pavements for the movement of vehicles, and this pavement is actually resting on the soil. And that soil is designated as subgrade in this figure. You can see the three layers of pavement. Pavement is actually constructed in 3 layers. Usually the top surfacing that may be tar or bituminous or concrete, and all these layers and this pavement is actually supported on soil, which is called subgrade in this case, and this subgrade providing a strong and smooth surface on which vehicles can safely move. The sixth application or scope of soil engineering is in the field of construction of earthen dam. You know what is dam? Dam is a hydraulic structure constructed across river to form reservoir or to store water. Then what is earthen dam? When soil is used as a construction material, the dam is called earthen dam. The earth dam are built for creating water reservoirs. And the construction or design, also the design of earthen dam. For the design of earthen dam, we know the proper knowledge of soil engineering. At this stage, you should be able to explain the importance of soil engineering also. So, can you explain the importance of soil engineering? The first point is, all civil engineering structures transmit load to underlying soil. That you know. All civil engineering structures such as buildings, retaining walls, bridges, drainage lines, pipeline, tunnels, canals, etc. transmit their loads to the underlying soil. It is therefore extremely necessary to ascertain or know the behavior of the soil under the varying loads. These structures have different loads, and we should know the behavior of soil under different load conditions. Also, by knowing the various principles of soil engineering, we will be able to provide proper correct solutions or designs for various engineering problems. Also, the civil engineering is facing new challenges due to decrease in the availability of suitable sites. Now, let us see the origin of soil. It is clear for you that soil is formed from rock due to erosion and weathering action. That is, soil are formed by weathering of rocks due to mechanical disintegration or chemical decomposition. That is, soil formed either by physical or mechanical disintegration or by chemical decomposition of rocks. And exposed rocks are usually eroded and degraded by various physical, that means or mechanical, and chemical process. That you can see in the next slide, that is a geologic cycle of soil. In the bottom, can see rocks. You might have studied about different types of rocks. The 3 types of or classes of rocks are sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and igneous rocks. Igneous rocks are formed from the crystallization of molten magma. Igneous rocks then further undergo metamorphism under extreme temperature and pressure and convert to metamorphic rocks. This both igneous and metamorphic rocks may later convert into sedimentary rocks. That is a part of geology, and you studied in the previous classes that you might have studied. So now we focus on the formation of soil, and the soil due to after millions of years of erosion and weathering action over these rocks convert rocks into soil. That the weathering action converts these rocks into soil. Next, you can see after weathering, the products of weathering or the products of erosion are picked up by various agencies, or that is transported by various agencies, that may be water or wind, and finally they are carried to different locations and they are deposited. Some sediments are formed, and later due to large scale earth movements under extreme such as pressure, this geological cycle gets repeated. So we started with the weathering action by which soil is formed. So let us see in detail about the weathering. The physical weathering, the weathering may be, or the disintegration, formation of soil may be either physically or chemically. The physical weathering actually reduces the size of the parent rock material without any change in the original composition of the parent rock. Physical or this mechanical process takes place on the Earth's surface under the action of water, frost, temperature changes, wind and ice. For example, under the action of water means what is, or frost, temperature changes. Under the action of water means water, wind, glaciers, etc. may move over the surface of rock, causes abrasion and scoring action, results in the formation of soil. Then frost means water usually stored in the pores and minute cracks of rocks, and this water gets frozen in very cold climate. Then you know that the volume of ice formed is more than that of water, due to which the expansion occurs, rocks gradually breaks or cracks due to the wedging action of the ice formed. That is the expansion of the ice that is frozen formed in the minute cracks of rocks. Then frost, temperature changes. Temperature changes means a rock piece consists of different types of minerals. There occurs unequal expansion and contraction of these minerals due to the temperature changes, and due to such consequent expansion and contraction, stresses are induced. Finally, particles get detached from the rocks and soils are formed. Usually, coarse-grained soils are formed this physical weathering process. Now let us see the second option, that is chemical weathering or chemical decomposition. The chemical weathering not only breaks the material as in physical weathering into small particles, but also alters the nature of the original parent rock itself. And the reasons of this chemical weathering are listed as hydration, oxidation, carbonation, etc. So hydration is nothing but, hydration means the water combines with the rock minerals, results in the formation of a new chemical compound. That chemical compound have different volume. Volume change, there occurs a volume change due to the chemical reaction, and that volume change leads to the decomposition of rock into smaller particles. Then this oxidation. Oxidation occurs when oxygen ion combines with the minerals in rocks. That is oxidation, and that oxidation process leads to the decomposition of rocks. Then carbonation is nothing but formation of carbonic acid. That is, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere combines with water to form carbonic acid. And this carbonic acid is able to react with the rock, and that reaction leads to the gradual decomposition of rocks. Just note that this decomposition process takes millions of years. So this chemical decomposition of rocks results in the formation of clay minerals. The clay minerals means clay soils have less size compared to the other particles, that is the particles formed due to physical disintegration. So hence we can see two types of soil due to the weathering and erosive action of while during the formation of soil from rock. That is residual soil and transported soil. What is the difference between them? The residual soil means that soil stays at the place of its formation just above the rock, whereas transported soil, that is deposited at a place away from the place of its origin. That is transported. The soil formed near the rock, that is transported by different agencies like wind, water, etc. to new locations, and where they are, at the new locations they are deposited. So soil is known as the transported soil. And let us see the different types of transported soil in the next slide. Soil that are carried and deposited by rivers are called alluvial deposit. Just note that name, alluvial. Then if soils are deposited by flowing water, that is in the while entering the lake, that is related to lake, it is called lacustrine deposit. If the deposits are made by rivers in seawater, that is called marine deposits. Then next one is glacial deposit, that is melting of glacier causes deposition of all the materials caused by it, leading to the formation of glacial deposits. Soil particles carried by wind and subsequently deposited is known as aeolian deposits. So these are different types of transported soil. So this was the introduction part of the first module. Thank you.